In a city once teeming with life, now reduced to a twisted playground for alien overlords, Max navigated the rubble with an exaggerated swagger. The remnants of skyscrapers loomed like the tombstones of civilization, while giant ZWNX, bug-eyed, chitinous creatures with too many limbs, patrolled the streets. Max had long since abandoned the hope of making it through a day without encountering some form of bizarre peril, but today, he was determined to keep his spirits high. With a deep breath, he muttered, "This is fine. Just a stroll in the park, if the park were infested with alien bugs that want to enslave your brain." He sidestepped a ZWNX soldier, who was busy trying to figure out how to use a vending machine that had long since been emptied of snacks. The soldier clacked its mandibles in frustration, and Max couldn't help but snicker. "Hey, buddy," he called out, "that machine's been out of order since the invasion. You might as well try to get a burger from a cactus." The soldier turned, bewildered, and Max took off in a sprint. He was no hero, just a slacker who'd somehow evaded the mind control rays that had turned most of humanity into mindless drones. It wasn't skill, it was sheer luck and a penchant for absurdity that kept him alive. As he zigzagged through debris, Max couldn't shake the feeling that today was different. Maybe it was the lingering smell of roasted ZWNX antennae, he'd heard they tasted like chicken when grilled, or perhaps it was the unmistakable sound of laughter echoing from a nearby alley. His curiosity piqued, Max skidded to a halt and peered around the corner. There, in the dim light, he spotted a ragtag group huddled around a holographic projector. They were laughing, and not the kind of hollow laughter that came from a mind-controlled human. No, this was the genuine article, the kind that filled the air with hope. "Come on, Lila. You can't tell me that a ZWNX dance-off is the best way to defeat them," a wiry teen with neon-colored hair exclaimed, slapping his knee in delight. Max blinked. Is this a comedy club or a rebellion? A woman with wild, frizzy hair and oversized glasses turned to him, her expression a mix of surprise and amusement. "Depends on whether you're here to join or just here for the show." Both? "I mean, I didn't plan on it, but now that I'm here," Max trailed off, his eyes scanning the group. "What's the plan?" Dr. Lila Spark, the leader of this motley crew, raised an eyebrow. "You've stumbled into the free thinkers. We're planning to take back our city using alien technology, human ingenuity, and a whole lot of ridiculousness." "Count me in," Max said, feeling a spark of excitement. For the first time in ages, he felt like he could be part of something bigger than himself, or at the very least, something entertaining, and so, in that alley, amid laughter and absurdity, Max was swept into the whirlwind of resistance planning. The next few days blurred into a chaotic montage of training and brainstorming sessions. Max learned to wield strange alien gadgets, which often malfunctioned in comical ways. One day, he accidentally glued himself to the ceiling while trying to understand an anti-mind control device. "Great! I'm the world's first flying slacker," he joked, dangling upside down while the others tried to stifle their laughter. "Max, you're supposed to use it on the ZWNX, not yourself." Sammy, the teen with neon hair, shouted through fits of giggles. "Though this is definitely going on the meme page." Their planning sessions were filled with zany ideas that often veered into absurd territory. One afternoon, they brainstormed using ZWNX music, horrible, techno-inspired noise, as a weapon against them. "If we can get them to dance, they won't be able to think straight," Lila declared, her eyes alight with inspiration. "I mean, have you heard their music? It's like 100 angry bees trying to drop the hottest mixtape of the year." Max quipped, drawing laughter from the group. With a plan taking shape, they decided it was time for a reconnaissance mission to gather more intel on the ZYNX communication tower. The day arrived, and Max donned his most ridiculous disguise, a hastily assembled outfit made from old clothes, a pair of oversized sunglasses, and a hat that screamed, "I'm just a regular human." "Blending in, huh?" Sammy snickered, giving him a thumbs up. "You look like a discount alien tourist." "Thanks. I'm ready to get abducted in style." Max shot back, striking a pose. As they approached the tower, it loomed like a giant, twisted monument to oppression. The group crouched behind a pile of rubble, and Max felt a mix of anxiety and thrill. "So what's the plan?" he whispered, scanning the area. "Simple," Lila said. "We sneak in, disable their security, and broadcast our signal." "Easy peasy." "Right. Easy peasy." "Just like trying to convince a ZYNX to stop dancing," Max replied, his heart racing. As they made their way inside, the atmosphere shifted from light-hearted banter to focused determination. They navigated the bizarre, insect-like corridors, filled with glowing screens and a cacophony of ZYNX chatter. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a group of ZYNX soldiers, all gathered around a small monitor, completely absorbed in a hilarious meme video featuring a cat attempting to jump but failing spectacularly. Max's eyes widened. "Are they distracted by cat videos?" "Looks like it," Sammy whispered, stifling a laugh. "Now's our chance." In a series of comical near misses, they crept past the soldiers, each time one of them cracking a joke that only amplified their tension. "So, what do you call a ZYNX that loves comedy?" "A puntuator," Max whispered as they slipped by, barely containing their laughter. Finally, they reached the control room. It was a chaotic mix of blinking lights and alien technology that looked like it had been borrowed from a bad sci-fi movie. "All right, here we go," Lila declared, her fingers flying over the controls. Max looked around, his heart pounding. This is either going to be the best decision of our lives or the worst episode of a reality show ever. Just as they began to transmit their signal, a mashup of sitcom laugh tracks and viral dance challenges, the ZYNX soldiers outside began to convulse with laughter. Their antennae twitched, and suddenly, they burst into an uncontrollable dance party, their rigid forms breaking into ridiculous moves. "What in the universe is happening?" Max shouted, barely able to contain his delight. "It's working." But as the chaos ensued, something unexpected happened. One of the ZYNX soldiers, a large one with glowing purple spots, stumbled into the control room, drawn by the noise. "What is this madness?" it screeched, but before it could act, it was swept into the dance frenzy, flailing about wildly. Grebe, their new ZYNX ally, appeared from a corner, his compound eyes wide with excitement. "This is the best Earth tradition. We must celebrate," he yelled, joining in the dance, his limbs moving in an exaggerated rhythm. Max could hardly believe his eyes. "We're taking back our city with the power of dance and memes," he yelled, caught up in the absurdity of it all. As the humans broadcast their signal, the ZYNX soldiers began to collapse, their minds scrambling under the onslaught of comedy. One by one, the mind-controlled humans began to regain their autonomy, blinking in confusion and then bursting into laughter as they saw their former captors dancing like idiots. The tide was turning. Lila's voice rang out over the chaos. "This is it. We've got to keep the momentum going." Max jumped to the main console, feeling a surge of confidence. "All right, let's crank it up. Who doesn't love a good dance-off?" He selected a classic Earth party anthem and hit play. The room filled with infectious beats, and for a moment, the ZWNX and humans were united in a bizarre celebration of freedom. As the final notes echoed through the control room, Max stood back, panting and grinning. The ZWNX soldiers were now a mess of limbs, confused and unable to process the hilarity surrounding them. Lila and Sammy exchanged triumphant high fives, while Grebe spun in circles, clearly enjoying the spectacle. Max stepped forward, his voice booming. "All right, ZWNX. You wanted to control our minds? How about we teach you how to let loose instead? Let's see you dance your way out of this." With the humans fully liberated and the ZWNX incapacitated by laughter, the city began to transform. People emerged from hiding, bewildered but exhilarated by their regained freedom. Laughter spread like wildfire, and soon the streets were filled with dancing, cheering, and the joyous chaos of rebellion. Axe, Lila, Sammy, and Grebe stood at the center of it all, grinning like fools. "We did it!" Max shouted, his heart swelling with pride. "Yeah, we did!" Sammy cheered, already filming the festivities for their online followers. "This is going to break the internet." In the aftermath of the rebellion, the city blossomed with renewed energy. Max found himself thrust into a leadership role among the free thinkers, his knack for humor making him a beloved figure in the newly liberated society. Dr. Lila Spark became a prominent voice in the ongoing efforts to rebuild and strengthen their community, while Grebe adjusted to his new life among humans, excitedly learning Earth customs. And so, in the heart of a once-occupied city, Max realized that laughter truly was the best weapon against despair. With his new friends by his side, he looked forward to whatever absurdity awaited them next. "Hey, Grebe," Max called out one day, "what do you think about starting a dance club? We can call it the ZWNX Zone." Grebe's eyes sparkled with delight. "That sounds positively human. Can we invite all the ZWNX too?" Max chuckled, shaking his head. "Sure, as long as they promise to leave their brainwashing behind." As they walked into the sunset, the sounds of laughter and music filled the air, marking the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. Together, they would face whatever came next, with humor, friendship, and an unshakable spirit of rebellion. As the sun dipped below the jagged skyline, Max felt an electric buzz in the air. The city, once a desolate shell of its former self, was now alive with color and sound. Everywhere he looked, people were laughing, dancing, and enjoying the simple joys of life. The aftermath of their absurd rebellion had sparked a cultural renaissance, a reclaiming of humanity's spirit that the ZWNX invasion had sought to extinguish. "Okay, everyone," Max shouted, climbing atop a makeshift platform that had once been a ZWNX control panel. The crowd silenced, all eyes on him, anticipation hanging in the air like the sweet smell of street food sizzling nearby. "Welcome to the first official meeting of the ZWNX Zone Dance Club." He thrust his arms in the air, and a roar of cheers erupted from the crowd. "We're here to celebrate our freedom, our weirdness, and our ability to move to a beat. So let's kick this off with the dance that took down an empire." He turned to Sammy, who was already bouncing on his feet, ready to hit the music. The speakers crackled to life, and the catchy beat filled the air. Laughter intertwined with the music as people began to dance, letting loose in a way that felt liberating. Max joined in, twisting and shaking with exaggerated movements, prompting a wave of laughter. "Remember, the more ridiculous you look, the more effective it is," he shouted. As the night unfolded, Grebe shuffled awkwardly but enthusiastically, trying to mimic the human dance moves he'd seen. Max watched, grinning from ear to ear as Grebe accidentally knocked over a stack of empty ZWNX crates, sending them clattering to the ground. Graceful as a ZWNX on roller skates, Max called out, prompting a new wave of laughter. Do you think they'll ever get back to the dance floor? Sammy asked, catching his breath between beats. Who knows? Max replied, wiping sweat from his brow. But if they do, we'll be ready with a whole new playlist. ZWNX hits of the 2020s, it'll be a bestseller. As the party continued, Lila emerged from the crowd, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Max, we need to talk about what's next, she said, her voice barely audible over the music. Next? I thought we were going to just keep dancing until we accidentally start a new species of ZWNX human hybrids. Max joked, but he noticed the seriousness in her expression. We've got a lot of work to do, Lila insisted, pulling him aside to a quieter corner where the music still thumped in the background. The ZWNX might be in disarray now, but we need to ensure they don't come back stronger. We need to prepare for a possible retaliation. Retaliation? You mean like a bug-infested sequel to the invasion? ZWNX, Revenge of the Infestation? Max said, but he could see she was serious. Exactly. We've got to establish a way to protect ourselves. Maybe develop a better defense system or even reach out to other survivor groups, she suggested, her mind racing with possibilities. We've got their technology, let's use it to create something new. Max nodded, the weight of responsibility settling in. Okay, I'm in. But can we at least have some fun with it? I mean, let's create the coolest defense system ever. Something like a laser shooting disco ball. Dance or die could be our motto. Lila chuckled despite the seriousness of their conversation. I like the spirit. But we really need to focus on the logistics too. Let's get the others together and brainstorm some ideas. With that, they gathered a small group of the free thinkers, including Sammy and Grebe, who was still trying to perfect the moonwalk. Max laid out the plan for their new mission, his usual humor lightening the mood. First order of business, find the most ridiculous ZWNX technology we can. I want our defenses to look like a circus exploded, okay? I'm totally in, Sammy said, excitement sparking in his eyes. We can create a whole series of traps, maybe a dance-off gauntlet where they have to beat us in a dance competition to get through. Now that's what I'm talking about. Max cheered. We'll turn their invasion into a talent show. As laughter erupted around the group, they began sketching out ideas. They tossed around concepts that ranged from the ludicrous to the practical, blending their experiences as both warriors and artists. Hours slipped away in a haze of creativity, fueled by a mix of adrenaline and nostalgia for their former lives. The following weeks became a blur of planning, scheming, and plenty of dancing. Max and his friends set to work converting the ZWNX technology into something uniquely human, merging it with their quirky inventions. They fashioned everything from sonic amplifiers that blasted out the most absurd soundtracks to a giant foam pit that would spring up whenever they detected an incoming ZWNX. Foam. The ultimate distraction. Max declared, grinning like a child in a candy store. While they worked tirelessly, a sense of community blossomed around them. People who had once been too scared to show their faces began joining in, offering ideas and sharing skills. The vibe transformed into a creative hub, where laughter echoed alongside the sounds of tools clinking and machines whirring. One night, as they gathered to test their latest creation, a ZWNX-powered dance stage complete with flashing lights, Max took a moment to step back and appreciate the scene. The air was thick with anticipation, the energy palpable. He had never felt so alive, ready to see if we can make the ZWNX groove, he shouted to the group. They cheered in response, their enthusiasm infectious. When they activated the stage, it burst into a light show that was nothing short of spectacular. Pulsating colors flashed across the makeshift dance floor as the music blared. Max jumped in, leading the way with an exaggerated dance move that was a blend of breakdancing and something only he could call a human helicopter. Laughter erupted, and soon the crowd was following his lead, spinning and twirling with abandon. It was a celebration of life, creativity, and resilience. This was their way of telling the universe that they were not defeated, they were thriving. But just as the night reached its peak, an alert blared from the ZYNX control panel. The color faded from the crowd's faces as they turned to see Lila rushing over, her expression suddenly grave. "We've got incoming ZYNX. They're regrouping faster than we thought." Max's heart raced. "Well, at least we've got the dance floor ready. I mean, we're about to throw the wildest party they've ever seen." Lila shot him a look that was half amusement, half disbelief. "Max, this isn't the time for jokes. We need to prepare." "Sure, but let's do it with style. Let's show them that we can dance our way to freedom," Max said, rallying the group. He could see the spark of determination ignite in their eyes. Within moments, the atmosphere shifted from celebration to preparation. They scrambled to finalize their defenses, putting the finishing touches on everything they had created. Max felt the adrenaline surge through him as they readied their equipment, his earlier humor replaced with a fierce resolve. When the ZYNX finally arrived, it was with an overwhelming force. The sky darkened as their ships loomed overhead, a menacing reminder of the battle they had thought they had won. But Max and the free thinkers stood their ground, a motley crew ready to fight back with everything they had. As the ZYNX descended, Max activated the dance stage. The pulsating lights burst to life, and the music blared with an infectious rhythm. The soldiers hesitated, caught off guard by the unexpected spectacle. "Let's see how they handle this," Max shouted, grinning. The ZYNX were confused, their mandibles clacking in disarray as the human defenders danced around them, moving in perfect sync with the beat. Max felt a rush of energy surge through him as he twirled and leaped, embodying the very spirit of rebellion. Lila and Sammy worked the controls, ensuring the sonic amplifiers were at maximum power. As the ZYNX soldiers faltered, the humans unleashed their most ridiculous dance moves, turning the battlefield into an impromptu dance-off. The ZYNX, with all their technological superiority, were no match for the sheer unpredictability of human creativity. They stumbled, their coordination faltering as they faced the absurdity of what was unfolding before them. Laughter broke out among the humans as they watched the ZYNX struggle, their serious demeanor cracking under the pressure of the rhythm. Max could hardly believe it. "It's working. They're totally losing it," he yelled, exhilaration coursing through him. The tide of the battle began to shift. The ZYNX soldiers, unable to resist the infectious beats, found themselves caught in a whirlwind of dancing limbs and bright lights. Some began to sway, others attempted to imitate the movements they saw. It was a sight to behold, a bizarre, comical spectacle that transformed a fight for survival into a celebration of humanity's spirit. As the music crescendoed, Max and his friends pressed on, giving it everything they had. This was more than a battle, it was a movement, a declaration of freedom that reverberated through the very core of their being. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of laughter and rhythm, the ZYNX retreated. The last of their soldiers turned to flee, their once menacing forms now just a chaotic jumble of limbs stumbling away from the dance floor. Cheers erupted from the humans, a wave of joy washing over them. They had turned the tide with creativity and humor, proving that laughter truly could be a weapon against despair. Max, breathless and elated, turned to Lila. "We did it. We actually did it." She grinned, her eyes sparkling with pride. "And to think, we thought we'd need to use their technology against them. Turns out, all we needed was a good sense of humor." As the celebration continued, the night sky illuminated with the sounds of joy and triumph. Max stood among his friends, feeling a profound sense of belonging. This was his new family, a group of resilient souls ready to face whatever came next, armed with laughter and love, and so, they danced on, the remnants of a world once consumed by fear transforming into a vibrant tapestry of hope and joy. In a city that had fought back against oppression, they discovered that their true power lay not just in the rebellion but in the shared moments of laughter, friendship, and, most importantly, the ability to dance. Max raised his arms, pulling everyone into a collective embrace as they spun together under the stars. "Here's to the next adventure," he shouted, his voice carrying over the pulsating music. "To the next adventure," the crowd echoed back, their voices ringing with newfound strength. As the night wore on, the future seemed brighter than ever. And in that moment, they all knew they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together, ready to fight back with the one thing the ZYNX had underestimated: the power of human creativity, community, and, of course, a really great dance party.